Hi, Neil O'Brien again, and we're on to selling price number 3 and pricing formula. So in the last video, we spoke about the profit gap, and one before that, we showed you 3 steps to how to set your pricing. And in this one, we're going to talk about pricing formula. Now, why would you want the pricing formula or method to set your price? Well, I've seen a lot of businesses over the years where when I go in and look at a job, the profit margin is all over the place. One job is 20%, the next job is 40%, and everything in between. And one of the main reasons why profit margins vary so much is because people don't have a consistent way of doing their pricing. So you go into them on a Monday, they give you one price. If you went in on a Tuesday for the same thing, you might get a different price. So pricing formula is very important, particularly where every job is bespoke and you have to set your pricing properly. So again, I'm going to have a couple of examples here for you just to take you through this. So the pricing formula, and you want to avoid having this jotter. I see people with jotters are writing down pricing on bits of paper, and then a month later they're going back looking for it and they can't find it. A spreadsheet is definitely recommended, using something like a spreadsheet to work out your pricing, because you'll have a record of it, and also you can do it consistently. Now, back to, here's one example. The first example, we go back to Mary, the web designer. I'm going to show you how she works out her price. Now, this seems pretty straightforward, but believe me, a lot of people still struggle with doing something like this. They're asked to quote for a job, and they're kind of going, well, how do I do it? Well, there's two things you need. You need your charge out rate. We saw how Mary arrived at hers using the 3 steps. You have to have an hourly or daily charge out rate for what you do. This is a service business, obviously, and you have to be able to estimate the number of hours. In this case, Mary's charge out rate is 100. She's estimating that the job ahead of her, this website, will take 35 hours. So 35 by 100, 3,500. That's how she comes up with her price. And, you know, I have people ring me all the time when they're quoting, has to quote for a job, and I take them through this process. And so, you know, it sounds very basic, but people still struggle with it. But you need your charge out rate, and you need to be able to estimate the hours. And once you're in business for any period of time, you should be able to reasonably accurate estimate how long a job is going to take you. Then, of course, you have to manage those hours and make sure you stick to it. Okay, so the second example is, we're back to the fabricator again. Now, it's quite different for him, because every job is a kind of, we call it bespoke. So he's got to estimate the materials that go into this job. Let's just say he's been asked to do a stairwell for a manufacturing company. Okay, he'll have to estimate the material cost. Now, material markup, he has to go and buy the materials and store them in his warehouse and so on. So he actually charges 20% on the materials. So he's adding that onto his price. Then he has to estimate the labor. So these are the fabricators, the guys working inside in his, the guys in his workshop. How long is this job going to take? He does his drawings and he estimates 90 hours. Now, he's a rate here of 70 euros for labor overhead, and it includes profit as well. So he's going to charge out those guys. He has to recover the cost of the guys in the workshop, and also things like rent and rates, electricity. How does he get that back? Well, he builds it into his rate. 90 by 70 is 6,300. So he adds up the materials cost, material markup, and this labor overhead profit rate, and he gets a price of 16,740. You can say how important it is, because every job he does can be different. He has to estimate these factors. He has to make sure he's doing it properly, and he has to make sure he's got a decent profit margin built in there as well. So, you know, so my advice to you is to use something like this. Use a spreadsheet, okay? Don't use a jotter, right? Don't be like this woman here, okay? She's working out a price and she's using a jotter. I call it jotter as a term some people use with me, a journal, a jotter. Use a spreadsheet. Have an accurate pricing formula. Don't discount, as we'll see later on. There's a good reason not to ever discount, and use a consistent method for getting your price. And that way, if you use a consistent method, you're going to get a consistent price and a consistent profit margin. And you can manage the profit margin you get, because you can tweak. If you need more profit, you adjust your formula and it'll give you more profit. Yeah, so it's brilliant. I've done that with dozens and dozens of businesses. And I'd highly recommend that you have something on a spreadsheet or something similar to calculate your pricing. Okay, thanks for listening.